So hope you are able to hear as well as can see the screen. So team, welcome to Selenium live training day 7. Till now, followed by orientation session, there were about 5 sessions that Karthik has dealt you on the Selenium IDE part of it. And also I know he was just started with Webdriver. So yesterday we kind of quickly recapped what we can do with the IDE. We looked at how we can generate a script using Selenium IDE. First of all, to install the Selenium IDE, I told it works only with a Firefox browser. So the first thing is you need to have Firefox browser installed on your machine. Once you have the Firefox browser installed, go to seleniumhq.org website. That is the main website of Selenium, and you can install the Selenium IDE from there. And once it is installed, this is how the icon comes, and from where you can launch the IDE tool. The main purpose of IDE tool is to work with only web-based applications, that too with Firefox browser, and it is a simple tool wherein you can record the script, playback the script. You can have some validations, like yesterday we created an assertion, we created a verify statement. So you can do those kind of verifications on the web pages. It could be verification of a title, verification of some text. You can do those kind of small validations over there. And yeah, it's predominantly used to work with web-based applications that will support the Firefox browser. The simple options in the file menu that you see is where you can create a new test case, you can open an existing test case. One of the things that we're going to look at today is exporting the test case option. So we'll look at how we can export this test case into different formats that you want, and which you can actually take it into Webdriver. As somebody was asking, can I convert the Selenium IDE code into Webdriver? So you can convert into any of the format that you want. It could be Java JUnit Webdriver, or it could be a C# code that you want. You can convert it into it. So what are the recent files that are opened? uh, you know Properties of a particular test case, how to create a new test case, how to open an existing test case, how to save a test suite, how to save the test suite as a particular file, and then exporting the entire suite to any of these formats, and what are the different recent files that are open. Like any other tool, it has edit commands through which you can add new commands, insert a comment option, undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, etc. By default, your Selenium will launch in recording mode, so you can see it's already being selected. But if you wanted to run the entire suite, you can run it from here, or you can run it from this button on the toolbar. Pretty much it's the same. You can also increase this slow, faster, etc. by either moving this needle here or doing it from this particular menu. In the options menu, we have some of the important options like this is the timeout that we have discussed. Typically, your application might take some time when you are playing back. So depending on this, maximum it can wait for is a 30 seconds. But if anything more than that you want, you need to increase it here. So whenever you use commands like click and wait, or probably if you're trying to do something like type and wait instead of just type. So in wherever you use a wait command, it will be automatically is going to wait for those 30 seconds of time. These core extensions and IDE extensions are not really required. When before WebDriver was coming into picture, people used to use IDE itself as a predominant tool, and they used to go write their own JavaScript coding for their requirement. But today the purpose of IDE tool is very minimal, where we look at how to identify certain controls. That is a maximum level that we use, and most of the things are going to happen in WebDriver. So within few minutes from now, I'll create a script and then we'll take it into WebDriver, and we'll look at all locator identification strategies in the WebDriver. So these are some of the basic options where it will remember the URL. You can, if you want to add, assertions automatically every time that you want to go, when you go to a different page, when you go to different control, If you want to add the assertions, then you can select this and it will automatically start adding the assertions. The other one that we have looked at yesterday, the format that you are seeing here, right? So conversion into different formats. To see this, one of the option called enable experimental features, that should be available, that should be enabled. If it is not enabled, then you will not see any of those formats here. So for that, you have to enable this checkbox called enable experimental features option. So whenever you change the format of a script, there is one message comes that you are changing the format. If you want to disable that, then you will select this checkbox. Otherwise, that's fine. And if you don't want your IDE to be by default in start recording mode, then don't select this checkbox. So these are some of the few options that you can see apart from converting into format. And you can clipboard format is basically it will be like a control C, so you can go and paste it wherever you want. So this is basically resetting the IDE window and clearing the history. You can also schedule, this is probably one of the feature, you can create a script and you can schedule it to run periodically. So what you can do, you can schedule it in such a way that like it has a job, whether you want to run the entire suite or you want to run only the test, you can select it and how you want to run it. Is it a daily or hourly basis, or how do you want to run it? For example, if I wanted to run this particular automation script, let's say I get a build on every Friday, so I need to run suppose every Friday. So all I'll do is just select a Friday. Then let's say I will get a build around 8 o'clock, so I will select it as 8 o'clock, something like 20 minutes, and let's say something like 40 seconds. So if you select this, it will start automatically 8 o'clock, 40 minutes, whatever the time that you specify, your script will automatically run. So those kind of options are available within the Selenium IDE option. It's about the help and everything. Apart from that, yesterday we have looked at the importance of command column, target column, value column. So command column is where you're going to instruct what operation to perform, target on which control to perform, and whichever the controls requires test data, we are going to provide the test data over here. So you can either type those commands manually, like what we have done yesterday was to open this page and enter because it's already the base URL is here, so you can simply say slash, and when you want to open a browser, you don't really need a value because the URL is already there here. So all you can do is just double click on this and then you would expect the page to open, right? So the page is open. Let me just add a couple of more lines and then we will convert into different formats. The next thing that you can do if you want to add one more line, so just do it over here on which control that you want to add. Suppose if you wanted to go and record, that is also fine. If you want to write manually, that is also fine. Yesterday I've showed people who missed yesterday, you can watch it how we can generate it manually, the script. So I'm just clicking on the record button and entering something over here called Selenium, and then I'm just clicking on this go button, and I would do a right click here, go to show available all commands. I wanted to verify the title of this page. The title of this page is Google custom search. So whether I'm in that page or not, I want to verify. So that is the code which is generated. So it's a very simple code. Stop it. All we are trying to do is opening the page. Is this really required? I think let me delete this line. So we are searching on the search box by entering a value Selenium, and we are clicking on a go button and we are checking whether you're in the right page or not. So this is a pretty much code. If you wanted to convert this code into any of the format, I will just first play back and see whether it is able to run or not. So it is being executed and it shows all the lines have been successfully ran. Now the two things that we can do, like one, you can export this test case into any of the format that you want. For example, So most of your, not most of, entire Java sessions that Karthik is going to drive you, sorry, entire WebDriver sessions that Karthik is going to drive you from Monday, it is going to be on Java. So you may be converting into Java JUnit WebDriver. And I would say 70 to 80% of the organizations are using Selenium majorly with Java. But there may be few organizations, few projects which will be running it in different languages. For example, hello? Yeah. So there may be few organizations who are, uh, is this Karthik? Okay. So there may be few organizations who will be using, let's say, Microsoft technologies, and they may be using your Selenium WebDriver with the C# language. So in that case, you may be converting this code into a C# NUnit WebDriver format. And there may be some organizations, very few organizations, let's say, may be using Python or Ruby, but predominantly most of the organizations will use Java language as the primary code for the Selenium. So that's the idea behind uh, most of the sessions will be covered, or entire Selenium WebDriver will be covered through that. So any questions before we convert this code and we start with WebDriver and start looking at the locator identification? Any questions on the IDE part of it? So for every session that you missed, Islam, so we have those recording videos, and once you become a member, you will be having access to those videos. Okay. Why is very important? You're talking about WebDriver. Why is important? Okay. So if you look at the limitations of this IDE, what we were actually be able to do is it is only limited to your Firefox browser. But the typical web applications that you work is not limited to Firefox, right? So you may be executing those scripts on Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, as well as Firefox browser. So whereas this is it's an add-on or plugin for your Firefox browser only. So entire thing is cannot be cannot be done with the Selenium IDE. The at the max today that what we use IDE for is only to basic scripting to see how it is recording, or you can actually go to the source tab and you can see the way it is currently generated. This is HTML default format. So all you do is right now you can see the HTML option is selected, so the source code is coming up here. But the moment if you go and select this to Java JUnit WebDriver format, this is the message, or a kind of a warning message it's giving you. Changing the format is an experimental, and if probably things might fail, blah blah, it's saying, do you still want to proceed? So if I click OK, so right now whatever the code that you see is as a Java code, Java JUnit WebDriver code, and this code is something that you can as it is take it and have it in your WebDriver, and you can run this as a JUnit test basically. So wherever you do not have much amount of time to write the code, probably people will come to this IDE, generate the code, and format into Java JUnit and then run it in the WebDriver. What is the difference between Java JUnit 4 and Java JUnit 3? It's just versions of it. So this is the older version of it with the remote control. So Selenium, the version that you are currently working on is something called Selenium 2.0. Before 2.0, people used to have something called Selenium 1.0, and that time remote control was very popular. So now, if anybody is still using the RC, the remote control, and if they need to run the scripts with that, so they will be using this format. But whoever is newly adapting the Selenium, whoever is actually going for the newly Selenium, they will actually directly go for WebDriver. Nobody is using remote control now. So you can straight away use the first one that I have selected, Java JUnit WebDriver format, not any of these things. So that's the difference between Java 4 and Java 3 and RC, etc. So this is exactly the similar code you're going to write it in WebDriver if you are going to write manually without using the IDE. So IDE helps you to certain extent to understand the scripting format, how Selenium generates. And if you are running out of time, you may want to do some quick automation, then you will come over here and do some recording and basic automation you will generate. But when you actually go out and say that I've learned Selenium, what is people would be expecting you is not much an ID part of it, and it is on the WebDriver, probably the Eclipse using, the WebDriver using Eclipse. That's where you have to be very comfortable. Okay, so having said that, so let's convert that script. We have seen the format that it is coming. This is a Java WebDriver format. You can also export this test case as of that format, Java JUnit WebDriver format, and you can save it in some location. Right now I'm saving it as where is it? D drive Selenium IDE scripts. So you can give some name, something like test1. You can either give it as a .java or it's automatically going to pick it up anyway because you have selected that format. And if you go into that folder, so here you will see this Java file, and if I try to edit, so this is the code that you will actually, whatever you have seen here, whatever you have pretty much seen on the IDE, the same code is being generated into a text file. Okay, Premal has a question, can we use only Eclipse platform or any other platform do we have? See, Java popularly, people use Eclipse, but I don't remember the names of them, but there are other integrated development environment tools from which you can also do the coding, but predominantly people use Eclipse. Okay, so now you're pretty much comfortable on the IDE, how to generate the script and if you want a different format of the script, all you have to do is just go and look at, for example, you wanted to see the same script in a C# format. Now this is the code which is actually coming as C# format. And you can copy paste this code into the WebDriver. So typically C# people will use Visual Studio, and they will be having the WebDriver configuration with Visual Studio. That's when they can use C# code. Similarly, if you wanted to have a Python code for this, you can select it, and the code format which is going to come is in the Python format. So by default, it will be set to HTML. Okay, by default, it will be set to HTML. All right, so let's look at from where you can actually install Eclipse, and how you can actually configure it to make it work with WebDriver and etc. So all you can do is there is an organization called eclipse.org. So you can go to Eclipse download, or you can just say eclipse.org, and in that, if you go to downloads, you will find the Eclipse software which you can install. But for the Eclipse to run, the prerequisites is you need to have Java installed on your machine. So that's one of the prerequisite. You can have either Java development kit, or you can have Java runtime environment. But Java needs to be installed on your machine before you start your Eclipse software. Otherwise, Eclipse will not even launch. Okay, so the question is, in Eclipse there are so many versions of it, so which one is what we need to pick it up? So typically, if you see Eclipse IDE for Java Enterprise Edition developers, Eclipse IDE for Java developers, any of these, this is fine. But very important, very important, you need to check on which machine that your operating system is. Is it a 32-bit machine or a 64-bit machine? Otherwise, basically, actually, Eclipse is not an installation. It's just a zip file that you download, and once you download, let me see if I have that downloaded anywhere. It just comes as a a zip file, and once you extract, within that, if you extract it, it will be like this. There will be an Eclipse icon. So when you download any of the Eclipse software, comes as a zip, extract it, and once you extract it, looks like this. All you have to do is you have to run this particular file. That's all. So when you try to run that software, if you have downloaded a 64-bit software whereas your operating system is 32-bit, then it will not launch for you. And the same case with vice versa. If you download a 32-bit but your machine is 64-bit, then also it will not work. So you can look at the existing videos where Karthik might have definitely covered it on how to set up this Eclipse and how you can uh, you know start installing the JDK, JRE, and everything. So please go through the existing videos to set it up the Eclipse. Okay, some of you have already installed. Excellent. Actually, you don't install it, just a download, and then you go for it. So as long as it is working for you, Sharmin, so there are different versions. I told you Mars version, there's a Luna version, etc. Either this or this is good enough. So as long as it is working for you, you're good. Okay, so when you launch Eclipse first time after installing and after downloading the file, extracting it, and then when you launch it for the first time, one important thing that you have to configure is called workspace. So what happens is it'll ask you to specify the workspace. So what is typically workspace is it will try to store all your projects information, whatever the projects that you create, whatever the packages that you create, or the class files that you create. It will try to store in that particular workspace folder. So that's one thing that you have to, when you're launching the Eclipse, you need to set the workspace, and once you launch it, it will be something like, looks like this. Here I have created a couple of projects, so but no worry, I mean, you will just have an empty thing and you will not have any of them available. So the next thing what you have to do is go ahead and create a new Java project. What we'll do is just create one new Java project. Let's say something called test project 2, and here you have all. So as I told you, it's a Java is a prerequisite for running the Eclipse. So you would have some Java installed on your machine, and it will automatically pick it up what is the latest one that you have. So if that is sufficient, you can continue with that. Okay, Madhavi says I have installed Java Enterprise Eclipse and it shows JPA project. When I try to create a new project, I downloaded something wrong. So what you're saying is when you go to file new, it is showing as JPA project. Is that what you're saying? So what you do, it should be fine actually. So whatever I'm going to do today, just try to do the same thing on that particular project, and as long as if it is Webdriver is configured correctly, it's able to understand the locators and it's able to play back, then you're good. You don't need to do anything more there. Okay, so I just given some project name and it's automatically picked up the corresponding environment for the Java. So just do next. So by default, your test project will come up with one SRC folder and there is a live libraries folder created. Just click on finish. So if you expand this project, you have one SRC folder got created with a default package in it, and there is a JRE system library with a lot of jar files by default. Java project will consist of, so do not disturb any of them. and there are some referenced libraries. So by default, it's automatically referring to JUnit file, Selenium Java file, and server file. I think these, just give me 1 second, please. Okay. So, and under the libraries, I have this JUnit jar file and Selenium jar file, Selenium server. You may not find all of them. All that you will have is just an SRC, and there will be some JRE system library. Probably it is picking up from my existing thing and trying to show, but I'll tell you, as soon as you just create one, you will have an SRC folder and one JRE system library folder. The next thing what you do, right click on the project. Actually, it's created a default package, but I'll just show you how you can create a package. So right click on the project, click on new, and select a package. So where it needs to be created, it's automatically showing it is test project to /src, and you can give some name. Maybe within that, let's say I'll give test package 1, and then say click on finish. So what is a package is nothing but whatever the classes that we are going to create and whatever the test classes that we're going to create, the test methods we're going to create will be under one package. So typically under a Java project, you will have a package. Under a project, you will have different class files. So you can right click on this package and say new class file. So you can give some class, let's say test1 or something like that. Ideally, you should give it based on your application module, the features that you're working. Okay, so somebody has a question. JDK of 64-bit usable in Windows 8 32-bit. See, if you go to oracleorganization.com/downloads, or just go to Google, you want to download the JDK software, so just say JDK download. It'll give you the link, and from there, based on your machine, 32-bit, you download 32-bit, 64, you download 64-bit. So I'm just giving it as something like test 1. And by default, when you are actually creating a Java class file, so go and select this public static void main method, which will by default, if you run the class, but that particular Java class file, this is a default method which is going to run, the default main method which is going to run. So anything that you write within the main method will be executed. So go select this public static void main and click on finish. So typically, this is the package in which you have created. This is the class file that you have created, public class test1. And remember this test1 and whatever the test1.java that is coming, so that should be same. If at all you have values, these are different, then you will get an error over here indicating it is suggesting you, in fact, rename compilation unit to test123.java. So either you want to change this to test123 or you're going to fix it. So this one and that should always be same. So a simple class is being created with the access modifier as public, which can be accessible from anywhere. Uh, Within the package, you can access this class from another classes also. And you have a class keyword, and this is the name of the class. Before we go and configure it for the WebDriver, I'll just write one simple command over here. Say no syso. If you type system.out.println rather, so this is what it is going to come. And anything that you wanted to print right now, I would say first. Till now we have not configured to WebDriver. It's all just the Java. First Java program or something. You can just put some message which is going to be displayed on the console, and go ahead and run it to see whether this is working or not. So just click on this run button. We are going to run this as a test1.java program. Click on OK. So you would see some output is coming over here, whatever you have typed on the console. Okay, so Nida has a question. Can we change the package name also? Anything after you create, if you wanted to change, uh, go ahead and right click. There should be an option to refactor and there is an option to rename if at all you wanted to change. If you have created something and that's not matching with your class name or you wanted to rename it something, just right click on that. Either it is package or Java class, go to refactor, go to rename option. Okay. So till now what I did is a simple Java program, nothing to do with the WebDriver. We have not configured the WebDriver yet. So to do this, what we have done, the first thing you have to do is go to eclipse.org and install, download the Eclipse software. Before that, you should have Java installed on your machine, Java JDK or JRE, whatever the latest version available from the Oracle website. For that, you can go through existing videos and the previous batch videos that Karthik covered it in detail. You can watch them and go step by step and do it. Once you do that, all I did is launch the Eclipse. So how do you launch it? The extracted folder of your Eclipse will have an Eclipse icon. You can just do a right click and say run as administrator. You can actually create this as a shortcut on your desktop so that you don't need to come to this location all the time. So you can create it as a shortcut on the desktop and you can just launch it from there. After that, what we did, we just went to file new Java project. So I went to file new Java project and I just gave some project name. Automatically it created one SRC folder and one JRE system library folder. Now within that SRC folder, I right clicked and select a new package. Typically package is a collection of classes. Right now I created one class here. If I add one more class, it is part of the same package. So it's a collection of classes. The next thing what I did is selected this package, right clicked and said new class. And I gave some class name and by default I selected public static void main method so that when I run this, you have seen when I ran this class, what happened is this main method has been executed by default and that's how you got to see this particular statement is being printed. You may be writing couple of other methods, but by default when you run this file, this is a method which gets called and that's why you will see this is the output. The other methods, you have to call them based on your need. You'll learn all those things step by step as you go into different programs and different examples with WebDriver, etc. So anybody has any questions? Can you please explain the architecture of Selenium RC and WebDriver? For that again, please watch existing videos that Karthik has covered on Selenium RC. To be frank, myself, I never worked on Selenium RC. I started directly with WebDriver. So when you start working with WebDriver 2-3 years back, I don't think RC is going to be any more required. Before that, if somebody has worked like 2 years back, probably they were using RC. Still, there are very few organizations who are actually converting their RC scripts into WebDriver. Probably they will be using RC and WebDriver. So if you go through any of the existing videos Karthik has covered, I'm sure you will get the answer for you. But sorry, I have not worked on RC any point of the time. Okay, so Rahman has a question. If I copy paste from Eclipse, the code, will it work? So for that to understand, we have to configure the WebDriver. Right now, if you see, for example, let's say Java JUnit WebDriver code, there are certain things like there is something called WebDriver driver it's using. So we have not reached there yet. So once I configure to work with WebDriver, yes, you can just copy paste that code over here and it'll automatically work. That's the idea. Okay, so after understanding this basic Java program, let's try to configure it to work with WebDriver. For that, what you have to do is, the first thing is seleniumhq.org. Go to the website seleniumhq.org. Go to download section So one thing that you need to download is the Selenium standalone server. Yesterday somebody was asking what is a version that you're going to deal and all. And as I said, whatever the latest version that will be available on the HQ, sorry, Selenium HQ website is the one that we're going to work. So you need to typically download this 2.48.2 server version. And when you download this again, it will come as a zip that you need to extract. When it comes to, so that is a server side. And there is one more thing that you have to also download is this Java 2.48.2, which is, you can see it got released recently, 9th October is when it got released. So it's the latest basically. All that you have to do is just click on download. Again, you will get a zip file and then you can extract all those jar files. So if you have these two for now, we can configure it to work with WebDriver. I'm sure I don't have this 2.48.2, but I would be having some previous version. I think for today we can continue. And whenever we need the latest versions, all you have to do is the same way which I'm going to do, just download them and then configure it. Just give me 1 second, please. Let me check. Apache PY, Chrome driver, Eclipse. Maybe. So this is a Selenium server standalone. So if you download the first one which I have showed you, this is how it will come. Like when you go into the seleniumhq.org and when you click on this one 2.48.2, what you will see, Selenium standalone server, it comes like this. Selenium -server -standalone, you will get 2.48.2. This would not take long time, but the other one will definitely take time. So either of them I'm not going to download right now. Post the session, you can actually download and just follow the same steps which we're going to do it right now. So that is one thing, and then you would definitely have the client version of it. So I'm just looking for that. This is the one, Selenium -java 2.47.1. So when you download this, the Selenium Java, so here can you see this 2.48.2. so this is how it will come for you. Just the version will change and you will get it as a zip file. The first one will not come as zip, but the second one will come as a zip file. So what you do actually, this one and this one, you can first, let's extract this one. So extract this particular file into some location. Where do you want to keep all of them? Ideally, I should have all the software here. Yeah, I have it here. Java client, I have it. This is the one exactly. So, and here only I have, so I have everything. Let me just quickly. Sorry guys, it was a long back I've downloaded, so I could not remember where I have all that. So, but looks like I have everything. So just go to Selenium Java client. So you have, this is the one where you have these Java 2.47.1, and you also have Selenium server. This is the one that you have just downloaded. But one thing that you have to ensure, this size and everything is completely downloaded. Sometimes even though it shows download, but it might be having just 0 KB. So if you include that file into WebDriver, then you will get into a lot of problems. So I also downloaded JUnit over here, so it is available. So all you have to do now is go to Eclipse, right click on the project. Please listen carefully. This is where we are making our Eclipse software to be ready to use the Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so just go to build path and then you can go to configure build path option. So that is when you will come over here, and under the library section, that's why this is showing for you. There are some libraries already available, but otherwise how would you add is go to add external jars click on this add external jars, and where I have all those things under D drive Selenium Java client. So if you, let's go there, go directly first, D drive Selenium Java client. Now the first thing what you do is go to Selenium server, and you can add this particular one, Selenium server. You can add it, and it's already there, so there is something already there, so that's why it is coming. The other one that you have to do is go to Selenium Java 2.47.1, and you can add these two files. Okay, somebody's saying 1 second, so I'm just going to cancel everything. So right now this is not configured with WebDriver, so all you have to do is the project that you have created, right click on the project, go to build path, go to configure build path. Okay, this is where you should go for it. And once you are here, go to libraries section. By default it's already in the libraries section, so you're good. Go to add external jars, go to add external jars, and here whatever the jars that you have downloaded, right? So I have downloaded these two things and kept everything under Selenium server is here, Selenium client is here, and under libraries also there are so many libraries, so we need all these things. So what I'm going to do is now go to that location. So I am already into Selenium Java client. First let's go to Selenium server and add this server file. That's what you have to do. Then go to again add external jars, go to your client folder, add these two, again add external files under libs libraries also there are, select all of them and select all of them. This is when I would say my Eclipse is configured with the WebDriver. After having all these jar files, the Selenium is configured to work with WebDriver. Now if I'm going to write any automation code using WebDriver, it will understand. Until now, if I have any code that is written for WebDriver, it would not really understand. Any questions on this? JAR stands for Java Runtime File. JAR stands for Java Runtime File. So it's like this. Java is basically an open source, and there are different people have contributed for different purposes. For example, somebody has written a jar file, how to use Java to talk to some Excel file, let's say. So that solution is available for everybody in the market as one jar file. And some other person has contributed writing the code which Java can talk to a database. And probably that is also available for you as a Java runtime file. And somebody else has written how to work with a file system object to read from a file, write to a file, etc., etc. So everything in the world of Java is available for you as jar files. And once you make those jar files available for you, now if you go to referenced libraries, you will see so many jar files being added. This JUnit is a Java unit testing jar file. This is Selenium is for Selenium file. This is a server file. This is a Selenium again Java client file. Like that, there are so many jar files that we have. Something related to XML API, right? So something related to JUnit here. So everything is available for you in the form of a Java runtime file. Okay, that's what is a learning for you, Premal. So as you go understand different topics in the whole learning for you with the Selenium WebDriver, you would come to know different jar files. For example, today I have downloaded Selenium client and Selenium server. Probably when Karthik talks about a JUnit, he will definitely download the JUnit jar file and associate it. And when we go talk about, for example, writing with an Excel or reading data from an Excel, writing to an Excel, again we'll be using some Apache POI jar files. So depending on the task and the example that we are dealing with, whatever the jar file that we will do, we will download it and we'll add it to it. Rupal has a question. What is the various locations that we will find jar files? Uh, what are the various locations that we will find jar file? For anything related to Selenium, this is a website. SeleniumHQ.org is a main website from where you need to download the things. But yes, Selenium itself is not the only thing. Selenium will work with so many other things. For example, when you have to work this Java program, whatever you're going to write, and if you wanted to run it as a JUnit, then we'll have to download a JUnit jar file, as I was saying. And there is something called TestNG framework. If you're going to work with that, then you will download the TestNG related files. So depending on that, so no worries. In each of the session, when we deal with the different topics, then and there we'll see from where we need to download. So you have the video available for you. You can make a note of that. You can revisit the video, and when you actually do the practice, it automatically becomes for you. You will become master out of it. Okay, no, I mean when you want to add external jars from within our C drive, once we have downloaded to add external, that you can put it, see, once you download, you can put it anywhere in your local folder, and from that local folder, you can add it to reference libraries. Okay, Aparna has a question. It's a big question though. Let me take it into pattern parts. I'm completely new to Java and I'm confused to the what you are explaining. I thought this was for beginners. So there are few sessions that happened on IDE. So whoever has missed, please go through those videos so you'll understand the IDE part of it. I understand if you're new to Java, new to Eclipse, and if I'm trying to do all this quickly summarizing in one session today, probably it'll be a little hefty for you. You may not understand everything. But if you go through our videos that Karthik has recorded of the previous batches or whatever access that you will get for the Selenium videos, go through step by step, go through video by video. Everything will be dealt from the scratch, from the fundamentals. It's absolutely for the beginners who does not even know what is Java, what is IDE, what is Webdriver. So that level of details. So I'm just covering up yesterday and today to quickly summarize on what Karthik has covered, because as he's not feeling well, from Monday onwards he'll come back and continue whatever that he's planned for. So even if you'd have done up to IDE, when he comes back on Monday and try to explain, you are good. So just go through those videos and practice whatever the IDE part which is covered. All I'm trying to do yesterday and today is quickly summarizing that. If somebody is directly joining yesterday and today, I'm sure it will be overhead for you because you have not attended those previous sessions. But just watch those recordings, everything will be clear. Okay, so you're saying I did ID until day 3. Yeah, you should also look at day 4 and day 5, or whatever Karthik suggests. Like on the WebDriver, he might be suggesting you some of the previous videos, so you have to go and watch them. When will we upload yesterday's and today's video? I will be yeah, actually I gave them in the morning, so it should post this session. Post this session, both the videos will be available. Yes, a lot of explained in the recorded videos. Okay. All right. So I think what I'll do is, anyway, we do not have much time also. I There are some beginners who have just attended yesterday and today, and some of you have already practiced some of them. So I will leave it here. I'll take a pause it here. So Monday, when Karthik comes back, hopefully he should recover fast, and then he'll come back. Once he comes back, he will take it, whatever is planned for it. Until then, if you have some time in the weekend, definitely go through some of the videos that are previously completed for this batch. And if you have access for any of the previous batches, go through those recordings. All right. So any other questions? Once you get a membership, Premal, once you have the membership formalities and everything done, it will be there in our IT Learn website under Selenium videos. You can, if you go, for example, so all you have to do is go here and go to Selenium training videos. Under that, we will segregate the videos as per the batches. So whatever the current batch that you are attending, so go through those videos related to that. Yeah, so Premal, yeah, so go into that and then you'll have batch-wise videos categorized. So click on that, you will see those videos. All right, so team, it's a weekend. I don't want to take any more long, and I hope just I've given you a refresh of an IDE part at least. I know I have not even gone to Webdriver, considering the time availability as well as a lot of new folks joining in. I don't want to introduce the WebDriver and make you little understand that basically I don't want to confuse anymore. So please join us for the continuation sessions from Monday, and Karthik will deal the sessions in detail, fundamentally the way he actually does it for every batch. Okay. Any other questions that you guys have at this moment? Okay, yeah. So have a great weekend. We'll come back. We'll meet if whenever there is a chance. Otherwise, Karthik will take it for you guys. Thank you.